Good evening, family, and welcome to our midweek connection. I am actually coming to you from a different space in the house. We have my daughter Brianna and her lovely partner Doc with us this week. Brianna is pregnant with our first grandchild, and I'm just so grateful and honored, and it's been wonderful to host them the last couple of days. They flew in on Monday, and they'll be with us until tomorrow. Right now, several of the kids and even some of our adopted kids from around the neighborhood are on the back porch right out the window there, chatting with each other and enjoying each other. And so if you hear some of that noise in the background, it's just the beauty of that wonderful gathering that is happening in our backyard. This evening, I wanted to share a couple of things with you for our midweek connection. You know, all of you who know me, you know that I have spent quite a bit of time over the last 20 plus years of my life really reevaluating, really actually utilizing what the word repent means in my own personal life, like giving myself opportunity to expand and to be more open, because my religious expression growing up was fundamentalist, dogmatic, really, Christianity, Pentecostal, very tough, strong, very strict in its approach. There were a lot of things that were sin. Just about anything that felt good, tasted good, looked good, sounded good, you had to quit doing. It was never really said that directly, but it was certainly implied. There was this sense that we were always basically facing a God who was ready to judge. And so I grew up with that kind of religious expression. As I moved on in my life and began to grow, I grew into an adult. I became a pastor at a very young age. Did not know what I was doing. I'm not saying that I know what I'm doing now, but I certainly didn't know what I was doing then. I did the best that I could, and as a result, I needed to study because, you know, the expectation was that on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, at least, I would be bringing a message to our people. So I had to learn to cook, I'll put it that way. And so I had to learn to become at least a cook. Whether or not I have ever become a chef is an argument that someone else can make. But I had to learn how to cook, and so I needed to take maybe some of the similar ingredients, but learn how to season things differently and move things around. And as a result of that, I began to study. And ultimately, that led me toward time in seminary. It led me toward the study of the Bible, of course, the history of the Bible, the history of Christianity, the history of the church. And, you know, I grew up in such a naive space that I kind of thought that, you know, Christianity was the oldest religion known to humanity. It was the original one. It's the only one that counted, of course. And, you know, that pretty much, I mean, the American way and the Christian way was the way. I grew up with not only nationalism, but Christian nationalism, that we were a Christian nation. I held to that, believed that, I was taught that. And that really formed all of my beliefs about the world was through the Bible, through Christianity, through what I experienced day in and day out. And until I opened myself up to something a little more expansive, I wasn't even able to understand the true history of the world. I didn't understand human behavior. I didn't understand any of the other major world religions other than they were all wrong. So when I got into seminary, I began to look at world religions, the 5 major world religions. And of course, I looked at many of the other ones that were just sort of offshoots of those religions, but also developed religions by other people. And I began to see this very interesting intersecting line, or sort of a similar thread that ran through them all. And that was quite disturbing to me, because I was raised basically that everyone else was wrong and that everyone else was evil. Not just that they were wrong theologically, but they were also basically evil. And I've come to tell you that, and I've told you this before, that's absolutely not the case. It's just not. It's illogical, and it's also not the case. But I read a quote this week from Albert Einstein that I wanted to share this evening and a few points that I wanted to draw out of it. And Albert Einstein, I don't know if he claimed a religion. He was Jewish, so maybe he claimed Judaism, but honestly, I think his religion was probably science more than anything else. But toward the end of his life, and after all of his breakthroughs in quantum physics and all of the physicist work that he did, the scientific work that he did, after all of that, he basically resigned to say that there's no real explanation for all of this. There must be something more exquisite, some kind of a powerful intelligence that holds this all together. And Albert had a quote, again, that stuck out to me this week, and I thought I would share it with you and again just kind of unpack some things. And I did some writing around it, so I'll read a little bit of it for you and then just kind of share my thoughts around it. And basically, I would title this, if I was going to title it, The Future Religion. And I use the term very loosely with an understanding that human beings, we tend to be religious people. We tend to be religious about something or another. I mean, there are people who are religious about their music. There are people who are religious about TV shows. There are people who are religious about the kind of food they eat. Religious basically means that you are dedicated to it. You're committed to something, and it's become sacred to you. So I would call this the future religion. And Albert Einstein said this: the religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It will transcend a personal God and avoid dogmas and theology. I'm going to read that again. The religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It should and will transcend a personal God, and it will avoid dogmas and theology. We could spend the rest of the evening right there and get plenty. In fact, we could stop with this quote. But this is what Albert Einstein, after his major discoveries in quantum physics, he gets very mysterious here. He almost becomes a mystic with this philosophical approach. That religion, the religion of the future, is a cosmic religion. And when I hear the word cosmic, I think in terms of the entire cosmos, the universe, galaxies upon galaxies. In other words, it becomes less focused locally and becomes more understood globally. See, where we're at right now as a humanity is that years and years ago, we were local-minded. Our ancestors were local-minded. They didn't venture out across the oceans to find out what other people groups were doing in other parts of the world. So they were very localized. And then they became more attached to their own region as they began to travel more. So they would have a particular region. And they had not just a local view, but a regional view. And then as we begin to discover how to travel by ocean and then ultimately by air, we became more world-viewed and more global viewed. So that it was local, it was regional, then it became global. And this call that I'm hearing is for us to be universal-minded rather than local, regional, global, more universal-minded. In other words, open to all of the beauty of the cosmos and how they intersect with each other. So I wrote this down. The future religion, quote unquote, the future religion shaping society envisions a cosmic belief system that's beyond all of our personal deities and traditional doctrines and dogmas. It will blend the natural and the spiritual worlds, inspired by a deep spiritual and life-changing experience that encompasses all aspects of life. It'll emphasize the interconnectedness of everything. It sees the universe as a harmonious unit working together beyond individual beliefs and petty divisions. Spirituality in this vision is universal. It's uniting all beings in a shared sense of purpose and interconnectedness. This cosmic religion, quote unquote, I like to call it a sacred practice. So this cosmic sacred practice is uniting diverse traditions and starts to foster, in other words, gives a loving space, fosters awe and reverence for the mysteries of the universe, or the mysteries of the cosmos, if we're using the language that Albert Einstein used. So, in other words, this vision is not just seen by Einstein, but it is seen by other people, such as myself. I visualize a way for us to be able to get past, to transcend and transform out of being dogmatically conditioned beings into being much more understanding of a need to live in the mystery rather than our history. The reason we repeat history is because too few of us are brave enough to go into the mystery. But the calling is coming forward for us to march into the mystery. And I actually firmly believe that we're seeing a uniting of diverse traditions. We're seeing the unification of some of these philosophies and belief systems that still work, that we're bringing along, maybe altering a little bit, augmenting, customizing to fit our current situation in the world. And we're reverencing, though, more than the traditions and more than the diverse religious expressions, we are actually fostering an awe and a reverence for the mystery. See, the only way for us to make history, in other words, make a story that's worth telling, is for us to get our reverence in the right place. And our reverence should be into the mystery, not the history. The reason we go round and round and around is because of what we call revolution. I keep hearing people call for a revolution, and I'm calling for an evolution. Because to revolve, to be in a revolution, is to move around and around and around. And that's what we're doing when we get stuck in these practices and those practices alone. When what we're doing is just running around inside of the 5 major world religions and somewhat offspringing off of the same thing, we're not really saying anything new. We're not really creating anything. We're just taking from this particular formula here, from that formula there, and we're creating sort of a new recipe, which is fine. It spices things up a little bit. But what would happen if we broke free from the need to just revolve and we instead engaged our ability to evolve, which means to move on, to grow past, to become altogether new? Jesus was trying to tell us that this is what he really came to do. He didn't come to regurgitate the same religious order or to create a new religion. He came to make all things new. And so the future religion is really not a religion at all, other than the word religion just means sacred practice. But it's not a religion that necessarily needs theologies or dogmas. We can talk about some of the things we believe, but more than anything, I think it's an encouragement for us to go into the experience of the evolution of things. Source is asking us to move forward. Source is asking us to shift the gears towards something fresh. Now, people will say there's nothing new under the sun. My question about that is why? Why can't we figure out how to merge this thing together so that we can birth something that's altogether new? It may have the semblance or the makeup of some of the similar things that seem to work in our world. But why can't we make, behold, I make all things new? And so these are some of the things that I dug out of this, and I'll share them with you. Number one, the future religion transcends personal deity and theological doctrines. Remember, the word theology, its root is theory. This future religious expression or this future sacred practice, I believe, transcends. It goes above. It evolves past a personal deity. Having to have names like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Allah, Jehovah. It transcends these gods that we create in our own image and instead surrenders to the source to say, let me see more of the image that is you. And so in the evolving landscape of spirituality, future religious expression moves beyond traditional notions of a personal deity or a rigid theological doctrine. It moves into a freedom and an openness. It embraces, in my opinion, a more expansive and inclusive understanding of the divine nature. It's not limited to one specific belief system or another one. It transcends belief systems. It moves beyond the need for the BS. It's a new form of spiritual practice or a new form of sacred practice that I believe encourages the individual to explore their own unique spiritual pathway and to connect with that higher self, that higher power that's on the inside of them in a way that resonates with that person and their own core values. It breaks free from the constraints of traditional dogma. So number one, this future sacred practice, or religion, if you want to call it that, quote unquote, transcends personal deities and theological doctrines. This moves into the realm maybe of what we've called the unknown. Number two, future religious expression emphasizes interconnectedness of all things in the universe. Instead of the separateness that keeps the egos geared up and keeps our egos engaged and gassed, instead of that, it recognizes the interconnectedness, the need that we have for each other, that we're not independent or codependent, but we are interdependent, that we in some way need each other to really create a higher level of existence. This concept emphasizes the interconnectedness of all entities and phenomenon in the universe. It highlights how everything is interrelated and plays a crucial role in what I would call the divine dance, or the grand tapestry, if you will, of our entire existence. So this future religious or sacred approach, or approach to sacred practice, it's emphasizing the interconnectedness, not how separate we are. See, religion right now has a tendency to say, you join our group because we're a better group. We have it more together than the other groups do. And if you don't join our group, then you're wrong. This is transcending that. This new sacred, what I say new, this fresh expression, if you will, this future religion, it emphasizes the fact that we are one, instead of who's in and who's out. It reminds us the unity that underlies the diversity of the entire universe, the entire cosmos. And it encourages us, invites us, gives us an invitation to contemplate those subtle threads that bind us to one another and the world around us, instead of those petty things that we allow to divide us. Number three, future religious expression draws inspiration from profound religious experience encompassing all aspects of existence, not just small parts, but all aspects of existence. It draws its inspiration from religious, or I like to say sacred, holy experiences that encompasses all aspects of our existence. You see, I believe that religion is evolving to encompass a more holistic approach to life. In other words, it's not just new prayers that you pray, but you're so affected by it that you begin to express yourselves in a very holistic approach to your life. What you put into your body, the things that you say, the way you act, your attitude about life, your perception, your perspective. You begin to live in a space of evolution, always evolving, and as a result of that, you become more holistic, focusing on the deep spiritual moments that have the power to impact every aspect of our life, not just our emotions, but every aspect of our entire life. This shift is not only involving traditional practices we've always known and particular belief systems we've always known, but it's also incorporating new ways of connecting with the divine and exploring your inner self. Not just the outer things, but the inner self, really getting to know your true and authentic self. See, as a society begins to progress, instead of revolving, evolves, individual people are beginning to now seek out spiritual fulfillment in a more personal and actually meaningful way. As a result of this, what's unfolding or what's happening is that we're being led into a deeper understanding of our own selves. When you understand yourself and when you get to the place where you're absolutely in love with yourself, and self-love does not mean the same thing as narcissism or selfishness. In fact, it's the opposite. If you truly love yourself, you begin to be a loving vibration that shows up in the world. You're less likely to be selfish. but we're finding a more meaningful way and a deeper way to understand ourselves. This fresh religious and spiritual expression, I believe, is characterized by a sense of deep interconnection, understanding we're sharing a journey with each other towards enlightenment, towards self-discovery, towards self-realization and self-actualization. So this future expression is a profound experience that impacts all of the aspects of your life. Not just your brain, not just your heart, but the whole being is invited into this space. And number 4, this new, fresh, whatever you want to call it, religious expression, universal spirituality, unites all beings in a shared purpose. We're being united into a shared purpose. When we realize we're sharing. In other words, this religion doesn't cut you off from other people, but it invites you, this new expression invites you into realizing how interconnected and how much we share this planet together. And we begin to live on purpose with each other in a sense of unity instead of in separation. One of the reasons I believe we're seeing such a stark, clear separation of people right now is because we are headed toward a powerful level of unity. We are waking up to the realization that our egos have kept us captive and hostages to, we've been a hostage to our ego when we could have been a host to God the whole time. And we're beginning right now to break free from that hostage takeover. We're beginning right now to wake up to this new space. This spirituality will bring together all beings into a shared purpose. It will transcend traditional boundaries and beliefs that keep us separate. This new form of religious expression, it's going to focus fully. It's already doing this, but it's going to even more focus fully on unity and connection instead of disconnection. See, as we spiritually grow, we move away from the need to see the differences, and we move toward the ability to see our interconnectedness. To me, overall, this future religious expression, it's going to embrace a multitude of perspectives in order to foster, there's that word again, to foster, to nurture a deeper appreciation for the entire universe and a deeper sense of interconnectedness with all living things. And number 5, future religious expression includes diverse traditions and perspectives to foster a collective awe and reverence for the whole universe. I believe, in closing, that this new sacred practice, this evolution of humanity, is encompassing a wide range of traditions and perspectives. It's drawing beauty from Christianity, drawing beauty from Islam, drawing beauty from Judaism, from Buddhism, from Hinduism, from Jainism, from Wicca, from the list goes on and on and on. It's drawing in wonderful inspiration from those spaces. But that's going to help us to cultivate a sense of collective awe and reverence for the cosmos rather than a dogma about a particular way of doing things. I'll tell you how dogmatic we've become. Even in New Thought circles, if you don't hold your body a certain way while you're meditating, somebody's going to correct you for that. You're not doing it right. Therefore, you're not going to reach enlightenment. Not by doing it that way. Prayer. We don't understand that the modalities of prayer, meditation, chanting. For some people, it's drums and sound. For other people, it's speaking in a light language or singing in the spirit is what we used to call it in the charismatic church, where they're singing in a different language. All of these things are modalities, and we get stuck in the modalities. We think because that modality works for me, it's got to work for everybody else, and that's not the case. It's just not the case. This fresh expression, this fresh level of sacred practice is bringing us into a collective awe and reverence for the universe and our interconnectedness as human beings and divine beings having human experiences. See, different beliefs and practices are going to contribute to a more inclusive and diverse spiritual landscape. Now, some people would say, well, the Baha'is have been doing that for a long time. Unity people have been doing that. Unitarians have been doing that. Centers for Spiritual Living. I'm not saying that they haven't been doing a portion of this, but what I do know is that all of those religious expressions I just named, all of those have been held back still. They still represent a small portion of the United States, especially, and a small portion of the world. I'm talking about this kind of diversity, this level of awe, this level of inclusivity is going to reach critical mass. I'm prophesying that to you right now. I'm prophesying that we are headed toward critical mass. And as we do that, we're going to shift the entire consciousness of the planet, because we'll be moving away from what divides us and moving toward what unites us as wonderful beings. All of us as individuals are about to have the opportunity to explore various ways of connecting with the divine, and to do it out loud and in open, and to do it in ways that we've never done it before. And I'll say this to you again, I believe overall, overall, future religious expression will embrace a multitude of perspectives in order to foster, to nurture, to give space to a deeper appreciation for the entire universe. Instead of cutting it down and whittling it down into a collection of books, we will become what St. Paul suggested in the New Testament that we should become. And that's living epistles, living letters from God. So this evening I wanted to share with you that about something that I just got inspired by this Albert Einstein quote. And it shifted something in me. And I've known this for some time, but sitting down with it to actually think about it enough to put a little sharing together just really excited me. And there's a confidence, a courage, a passion, a strength that I've never had before that has come over me. Energetically, I am more convinced today that this is the direction I was called to move in, and that thousands around the world were called to move in. I'm more convinced of that today than I was yesterday, and way more convinced of that today than I was just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, before pandemic, after pandemic, even after that. I'm more convinced right now that this is actually possible, and I'm confident and filled with courage that it is transpiring and that we get to be a part of it. So once again, that Albert Einstein quote, the religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It will transcend a personal God, and it will avoid dogmas and theologies. And let me tell you why. You don't need either one. I know there are people who want to monopolize, want to control the masses, but you don't need either one. You don't need the dogmas. You don't even need the theology. People will say, well, is your theology sound? I don't know. Is yours? Are your theories all sound? Are your theories based in facts? Are your theories based in what's really real? Or is it based in what you've been taught is real? My friends, your spirit will tell you, because the spirit is willing even if at times the intellect in the flesh is weak. So once again, number one, this future religious expression transcends personal deity and theological doctrines. Number two, this future religious expression emphasizes interconnectedness in all things in the universe. And number three, this future religious expression draws inspiration from profound religious experience, encompassing all aspects of our existence, not just a little. So we're moving away from explanation and into the realm of experience. Explanation that leads to experience can change your life, but it's the experience that actually causes the change in your life. Number three, future religious expression, this one that we're talking about, draws inspiration from profound religious experience encompassing, I just said that, just say it, forget that. All aspects of our life. That's what I'm talking about. Number four, future religious expression brings us into a universal spirituality that unites all beings instead of dividing. It unites all beings into a shared purpose. on this planet, to heal this planet, to heal our humanness here, to heal us all, to bring us all into a higher level, not of revolution, but evolution. Number 5, this future religious expression, I like to call it again a sacred practice, includes diverse traditions and perspectives to foster and to nurture collective awe and reverence for the entirety of life. I believe that as we move in this direction, we're going to become more and more reverent of entire life, all of life, the entire universe, the entire cosmos. And as a result of that, because of the reverence, it's a sense of humility, provides space to be taught, because we'll be open to being taught. All right, my friends, I just wanted to share that with you this evening. I hope that sparks a fire in you, because it certainly sparks a fire in me. I believe we're on the edge of that. I believe that we are a part of a generation of people that are ushering in this that has been, Albert Einstein talked about this before I was born. So this has been in the universe, in the cosmos, in the ether for a long time. Before I arrived here, it was in the ether already. I believe we're the fulfillment of that. You know, Dr. King said, I have a dream. He didn't ask you to keep dreaming. The invitation was to you to take that dream and make it materialize, make it a reality. We don't need more people having the dream. We need people taking that beautiful dream and making it materialize. The same is true for this situation and this particular really prophetic word that Albert Einstein had. Let's make it now materialize. I don't mean make it, when I use the word make it, I don't mean force it. Let's create, let's manifest this into our reality. We can do it. The question is not can we, but will we? And this is yet another invitation this evening for us to get excited about this, to ignite something within us, and go make this happen. All right, my friends? Spirit of truth, take from us what we don't need, bring to us what we do need. We are completely surrendered. May we move into this sacred practice of a cosmic, inclusive, powerfully reverent, diverse spiritual landscape. May we break free from revolution and ignite and push ourselves into evolution. To evolve is to grow, is to be transcendent and transformative. So Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk on the water wherever you'd call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. And my faith is made stronger in your presence. And so it is. And so it is. All right, my friends, I'm going to get up out of here and leave you alone this evening. I love you very much. Now go and make it a great evening, because you can. Peace.